And welcome, everyone. I'm Bill Newell, MSO News Sports, joined here by Phil Stacy and Matt Williams from the Salem News. Others may join us as we move through this podcast here. We record on Tuesday evening for Wednesday's posting at both salemnews.com and msonewsports.com. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, welcome back, Bill. I hope you had a good vacation.
Yeah, we did. Yep. Back in town. And Phil and Matt, how about let's start with baseball. But I know on the front page of Monday's paper, Salem News, was the story on Endicott baseball in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know where you guys want to take that, but that's big.
Yeah. Will, you want to take it, or you want me to jump in, or what do you want to do here?
I mean, it's just remarkable. The Gulls are 40-8. I mean, you win 40 games in any season. That's, you're doing pretty well. Never mind New England baseball. And, they go into the regional as a number 2 seed. These regionals are 4-team double elimination. So they lose to the host Cortland on their second game. They beat another team to get back and then had to beat Cortland twice to win. They
on Sunday,
gashed
right?
them in the first game 16-3. They were down 5-2 in the second game and came all the way back. And Nick Natrangelo hit a go-ahead grand slam in the 8th inning to put Endicott in a super regional for the very first time. Now, for those that aren't familiar with the structure of the baseball, and I believe softball works the same way in the NCAA's Division I and Division III, the teams are divided into 4-team regionals. Like we said, those are double elimination tournaments. That produces 16 winners all around the country. And then those teams are paired off. You play best 2 out of 3 against one of those teams to cut it down to 8. And those 8 teams go to the College World Series. So Endicott this week will host Baldwin Wallace. They're also a number 2 seed. They won their regional, but it was deemed that Endicott was a higher rated team. So they get to host this thing Friday and Saturday. And if they win 2 out of 3 against this team, they're off to the College World Series. So just an incredible run, a great power hitting team. I mean, they score 1 million runs. They're in the top 20 in the country in home runs. Just a lot of power hitting on that team. And I mean, again, I'm just looking their team slugging percentage for the season is .515. They got 71 home runs in 48 games. I mean, that's not quite 2 bombs a game, but I mean, they're certainly averaging well over a home run per game, which is really, really impressive, at the Division III college level. I mean, what an impressive showing for Coach Brian Haley and all his guys.
Like Willie said, I think it's really remarkable, too, that they were able to do it by winning 2 games on that Sunday on the road on Cortland's home field. Mm-hmm. They win in blowout fashion in that first game, and then they really clutch it, as Willie mentioned, with that grand slam in the 8th inning of the the ultimate game there. The winner move on, the loser go home for the season game. To win in such dramatic fashion on a home run like that was fantastic. And then the closer comes in, shuts the door, striking out the final batter to send them to the World Series. I mean, it's great that it's happening right here in our backyard. And now these super regionals will be played in Beverly. Friday at, is it noon, Willie? Friday, game 1?
First game, yeah, exactly.
And then a potential doubleheader Saturday, game 2 at 11. And if there's a necessary game 3, it would be right after that. Probably you're looking at 3 o'clock-ish, somewhere in there. So, for a team to have a chance to go to the College World Series and you're playing right in the Garden City, that's a pretty cool thing.
And the other thing is that the Gulls this year are 22-1 at home. They haven't lost at home since March 27th. They lost a game at home, and they've won all the games at home since. So, I mean, that's they got to feel pretty good playing at that ballpark. I mean, I don't know exactly how many in a row they've won at home. If I can do the math real quick here, figure out when they left Florida. Looks like 1, 2, 3. So it looks like they've won 19 in a row at home. And if there's any Gulls super fans out there that can correct me, I'm sort of doing this on the fly, but they're 22-1 at home, and I think it's 19 straight wins at home. So they got to be feeling pretty comfortable going into this thing. And with no disrespect to Baldwin Wallace, of course, Phil and I and Bill, we sit here not knowing anything about that team, besides its record. But I think, going into an opposing ballpark where the other team's won 19 in a row, that's a tall hill to climb.
Yeah, and I remember us talking, weeks ago now about Endicott baseball and the stadium they have there. It's a great place to watch a game, play a game as well, obviously. So it should be a great take this weekend. Yeah, great stuff. How about high school baseball? Matt, I know you followed a lot. I'd also remember earlier this year on the podcast here, Marblehead baseball seemed to be struggling, but now they got a piece of the title apparently in that Lynch division, right? In the NEC for baseball. So
yeah, so I mean, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, right?
Right.
They started, and that's the kind of the story around high school baseball right now. I mean, Marblehead's won 10 of its last 11. Has the best overall record in the NEC and NEC play, and is the Lynch champs, holding off Swampscott. Swampscott sitting there 9-4 in the league. They have the same league record as Beverly and Danvers, the Dunn Division co-champs. Swampscott saying, what the heck? We're stuck here behind Marblehead. Marblehead, of course, lost 2 games to Gloucester and Masco that were technically non-league games because they played those teams twice. And so Swampscott gets the short end of the stick. But Marblehead certainly, after that tough start, has caught fire. I mean, to have wins in 10 of their last 11 games and have the opportunity to go into the state tournament on such a hot streak. I mean, I got to imagine they're going to be climbing the rankings, and especially if they can have more success. They have a non-league game with Beverly on Wednesday, and then they play in the Haverhill tournament against Lawrence, and then another good team from the Valley this weekend. So if they can pick up 2 or 3 more wins the rest of the way, they're going to be real dangerous going into the postseason, and I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. I mean, you can say the same thing potentially for Masconomet. That's a team that was 2-6 at one time and is 8-3 in its last 11 with 1 to go and is now state tournament bound. They're 10-9, and you can say that of Bishop Fenwick too. The Crusaders started off the year 0-5, and on the diamond they got 11 wins. Now they had to forfeit 2 of those wins, but nonetheless, I mean, you're going to be going against a team that was playing 600 ball over the last 3/4 of the season. That's a tough task as a tournament opponent. Of course, with these new power rankings, Fenwick's 9-11 record won't keep them out of the postseason, and thank God for that. I mean, because in a previous year, under the previous format, those forfeits would have cost them the state tourney, right? And now it really doesn't matter. It might only cost them a couple places in the seeding. So nice break there for the Crusaders, but nonetheless, their opponents are going to see a team that is, whatever the math is, they're 10-5 in its last 15 games or something like that. I mean, that's a pretty formidable team, and they've won, let's see, 3, 7, 9 of their last 11, and the only 2 losses in that span are to defending state champions, St. Mary's and Austin Prep. So unless you're a defending state champion, Fenwick's beating you right now. So they're going into the postseason with a lot of confidence. Despite that whole situation with the MIAA.
Yeah. Anything else on baseball, Matt or Phil? Because we obviously want to touch on a bunch of other sports here as well. But
I guess I would just quickly shout out the coaches for Danvers and Beverly, Sean Secondini and John Cahill. They share the league title. It's their first league titles after taking over for legendary guys in Dave Wilbur and Roger Day, respectively. And I think we've seen it in a million sports over the years. It's always hard to follow a legend, right? So tip of the cap to both of those guys for getting league titles for their team and, keeping their programs running fairly well, in the absence of those legendary coaches. I think both guys have done a nice job this season, and, to share the title is probably, well-deserved for both fellas.
Nice. All right, Phil, I say let's go to boys lacrosse. And what's the latest updates that we have on lacrosse, Phil?
Well, we, like every other sport, we're getting down to the final few days of the regular season here. Maybe got another week or so to go. And, teams are trying to help their tournament seeding, help their power ranking, moving up. It looks at this point like a lot of our teams will get in, but a lot of them are going to be on the road for the first round, which if we follow the format of how the fall and winter seasons have gone, generally that does not present a pattern of sustained success. These, say what you want about these power rankings in the state tournament, but they've been pretty spot on for a good chunk of it throughout all sports through the fall and winter season. So we'll be hoping for some upsets in the first round between a lot of our teams, I think, at least to start things off.
Tell me, Phil, I want to ask you, Monday we had some Cape Ann League action. The Cal champs, I believe, Newburyport knocking off the NEC champs in Marblehead, but also Manchester beating Peabody. Those two decisions, I would have thought the conference would be a little stronger than the Cal, and you wonder if those two decisions are going to kind of, prop up the Cal power rankings and maybe drag down the NEC. I was surprised that both of those games went to the Cal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in both cases, huge boost for Newburyport, which is Division III program, beating a Division II in Marblehead, and certainly for Manchester Essex, a Division IV team beating a Division I team in Peabody. So they'll get huge boosts in that. Subsequently, you're going to see Peabody tumble. I mean, Peabody, I want to say in the last power rankings was 35th. And I don't think they're in danger of missing the playoffs, even though it's only the top 32 make it, because they still have a winning record. I mean, they're gonna play a play-in game, I would think. But still, not what they're looking for at this point in the season. Peabody's had difficulty scoring all season long. They're a very, very young team. I mean, they have some guys who can put the puck in the net between, Matthew Betancourt and Danny Barrett and Collins and Kalu and Nick Salvati, but then they don't have big numbers this year. They rely a lot on the goalie, Derek Patarelli. It's a close game yesterday against Manchester Essex, 5-4. They just weren't able to get the goals they needed at the times they needed. And of course, Manchester Essex wins it in overtime. So difficult loss for Peabody. With that loss, they fell to, I want to say they are now 9-7. They had been on a nice little win streak. They had won 5 in a row and 6 of their last 7 coming in, but that loss in the regular season finale will hurt them a little bit. They'll be outside the top 32 rankings wise, but they'll get in because they have a winning record. So there is still that. They'll end up with a playing game at some point, and then of course they're going to go up against one of the top teams in the state. So at this point, if I'm them, I'm just looking to win the preliminary game, whoever they might be playing. Probably have to go on the road for it, but you hope they pull off a victory. Last year, they had to meet St. John's Prep in the first round, and that wasn't fun for anybody involved. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. As for Marblehead, that was an interesting game. I was over there, and they got out to a 3-0 lead, and then teams traded goals. It was 4-1, it was 5-2, it was 6-3. Marblehead midway through the second quarter, and then they just stopped scoring. I think Newburyport, which is coached by Josh Wedge, the former Hamilton Wenham coach, made some adjustments. They have an excellent long pole in Haddon, and he's going Division I Albany, and he not only scored 3 goals, from his defensive spot, but really put the clamps down defensively. I don't want to say he shut down Connor Cronin because he didn't, but Connor Cronin had 3 assists early on, and he kind of kept them off the board after that. Connor scored a fourth quarter goal, but hadn't had the physicality to kind of keep him at arm's length and out of that prime offensive scoring area. So that didn't help Marblehead. And, the shots they did take seemed to be right on net, easily savable shots. They had some other, judgment mistakes that didn't work out, or didn't pick up some ground balls they could have. I mean, Newburyport earned that win. That was a good win for them. Tough loss for Marblehead. Now, Marblehead schedules teams like this at the end of the season because they want to get ready for the state tournament. We hear that all the time in all kinds of different sports. I don't think the Northeastern Conference particularly provides the kind of schedule that Marblehead wants to have as it gets ready for the playoffs. It's just not a strong enough league. So they try to get some really good non-league teams. So they had Newburyport the other day. They're going to play an excellent Lexington team Wednesday night at home. And then they have a great Wakefield team that just beat Masconomet on Monday, 8-3. They play them on, is it Friday or Saturday? I can't remember. I think it's Friday. So that's how they'll get ready for the tournament. But this particular loss to Newburyport will hurt them because Newburyport's a Division III team. Marblehead was ranked 11th in the last Division II rankings as of Monday morning. So what you don't want to do if you're Marblehead is fall below that 16 spot, which means you got to hit the road for the first round. You want to be in that top 16. A win over Burlington and over Wakefield should certainly help with that, at least help the rebound from this loss against Newburyport on Monday.
Yeah. And I think we, Nick Kukuru and Phil, you were talking about this earlier about Newburyport, weeks ago, Newburyport and Manchester Essex, the powers of the Cape Ann League, and it's kind of played out. So it helps to, tune into this podcast from time to time to get these scoops way ahead, of these events. I mean,
True. Yeah, we're ahead of the curve sometimes.
Yeah,
Not all the
absolutely.
time, but
Yeah.
I know that the clip is on in our readership area, but I try to pay attention to them because, like I said, Josh coached at Hamilton Wenham, and I like Josh, and he knows the sport. Obviously, they lost early in the season to three defending state champions. Concord Carlisle, they lost to Cape Elizabeth, Maine, and they lost to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, all early in the season. They lost to, I want to say, Medfield early on, a bad loss to Medfield, which is an excellent team this year. And their only other loss was an upset against Pentucket. But since then, they played great. They're probably coming off their best win the other day when they beat a pretty good Linfield team on Friday, and that carried over into this Marblehead game. So I think the Clippers could cause some damage in Division III, at least. If it were the old North-South, they'd be looking really good. I think, with a statewide tournament now and most of the real good teams in Division III down south, you don't know how they'll fare there. But, I could see them at least making it to the Final Eight.
Yeah, ranked 12th in last week's rankings, and only going to be moving up. But I think if people are looking for a little ahead of the curve spoiler, right, I'll throw out a couple of tennis ones. Hamilton Wenham girls, #1 right now in Division IV. Keep an eye on them.
18-0.
Talking about them winning a state title in a couple of weeks. You can say here first. And Masco girls too are undefeated. They're a little lower. They're only 10th in the rankings. Division II being highly competitive, but I don't see too many super tennis powers. I think most of them are in D1. So Masco girls got a shot. So I would say keep an eye on those two tennis teams if you're looking to get a little ahead of the curve. Possible spoilers down the road. And, of course, if nothing ends up coming of that, people will forget we said it. And, if those teams do deliver, then we'll look pretty smart here, as usually tends to happen.
We can always come back in a few weeks and make it all up. Right. There you go.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Remember, it's just like the football picks. When you get it right, you always remember. And when you get it wrong, it's forgotten the next day.
Yep.
Another team we could mention and throw a kudos to is the Salem High boys volleyball team. Excuse me. They're in the state tournament for the first time, so congratulations to them. I think they were 27th in the latest Division II rankings. They are, I want to say, 8-4, 8-5, but they've officially clinched a tournament spot. So congratulations to the Witches for making it in under head coach Craig Massey.
Nice to see a new sport taking flight. That's always cool for the startup programs to see early success. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I know we don't talk volleyball a lot on this podcast, but you also have St. John's Prep, which I know Ho-Hum and other St. John's Prep team doing very, very well. They're ranked 4th in Division I. I want to say they're 16-1 on the season. They've been rolling ever since an early season loss. And, there's some great teams in volleyball. You get Needham, I know, which is undefeated. Westford Academy is really good. Winchester, Lexington, Lowell, Natick, all really, really strong programs. Cambridge Rain Latin, but St. John's Prep, not that long ago, was the state championship team. I mean, what was that, Willie, when Mike Grenier would go and cover the team in the state tournament? I want to say when they were wearing the floral print, like the Hawaiian shorts and all, 10, 12 years ago, maybe. I could be dating myself.
Probably closer to 15, but still, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, they've been to their share of state Final Fours and North Finals and stuff over the years. I mean, they're certainly always competitive. I think there was a home match that they won a few weeks ago. I want to say it was against Lexington. I could be wrong, but at that time, the team they beat at home was ranked #1 in the state, and St. John's beat them. So, when they play their game, seems like they can beat anybody. That's a team that again could go on a long run. We could be talking about a couple of weeks from now for sure.
You know, one team that we'll certainly be paying a lot of attention to in the postseason that has a real big game this week is Peabody High softball. You know, the defending NEC champions, not NEC champions again this year. They're taking on Amesbury at home this Thursday, and that was the only game of the season they lost. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Willie, was that the opening game of the year for them?
It was, yeah. I mean, Amesbury's a great team, great pedigree up there. I think they have a really good pitcher that's going to play in college, maybe to BU, where of course they're one of their all-time great players, Ashley Waters, is a coach at BU, and that's kind of the pipeline. So that should be a tremendous game. I presume, as I look this up here, Amesbury's undefeated to this point, 15.
They are, okay. And what's funny is they're Division 4 and Peabody's Division 1.
Yeah.
But it's really probably an even match. I mean, that's how respected and revered the Indians program is. And Peabody is ranked, I want to say 8th. Is that right? Off the top of my head?
Yeah, they've climbed up quite a bit. I mean, I think thanks to Beverly doing very well.
Right. They were like 20th at one point, when the pairings first came out.
Yeah.
So they've really done a nice job there.
And also, not only that, but they got there's a Corning tournament this weekend too. I believe it's the last one.
It is the last one, yes.
That's going to be amazing. Amazing softball. Of course, the 3 conference teams plus Bishop Fenwick. I mean, it would be really interesting to see Gigi Opon and her 100+ strikeouts go against some of these NEC offenses. That should be a sight to behold over there in Endicott. If you're at the super regional game and there's a lull in the action, you can poke over and watch some softball, down the hill.
Right. I know you have had dealings with him, Willie, when he was coaching girls hockey, but boy, Brian Seabury's done a really nice job over at Fenwick, helping to turn that program around quickly.
Well, yeah, the thing is, when you get a pitcher that strikes out 150 guys, that helps, right? In softball, as we know, that's because you could throw them every day, right? So that's huge right there. And I know the seniors on that team really work hard and are good on base people and everything, but geez, softball, you get that one pitcher, you can ride it for a long time. And geez, while we're talking about the other sports, as I'm looking at the schedule here, we should talk about the track. The states are this weekend, and I got to shout out Masco boys cross country track on Twitter. They keep going at the MIAA, how stupid it is that they have to go
3
hours twice because they split the state meet into 2 different days for no readily apparent reason. So they're going to be on the bus for 8 hours in 2 days, and some of these kids are only going to be running for 11.7 seconds. So I mean, statewide tournament, kind of a fail for track, in my opinion, and in the opinion of this Masco coach who I'm following on Twitter.
How far are they going? 2.5 hours?
I mean, that's what it says. Let's see. They are Division 2. So that would be Hingham. Yeah, so that's a haul. Division 1's in Shrewsbury. Division 3 at Westfield.
What day is that, though? What day is that, Matt?
Oh, every day.
Spread out over 2 days. I think it's Thursday and Saturday.
Oh,
Correct.
Weekdays. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So there is a day in between, but I mean, that's still I don't know why. It used to be one day, it was a 3 or 4 hour meet. Now they're going to try to do 2 hour meets. And I don't know what the logic is behind that either, to try to give people more of an opportunity to double up in events maybe, or something like that. My opinion, it makes the scoring very chaotic too. If you're trying to keep score at home, it's very chaotic. If, parents trying to follow the thing. I mean, if I do an all-state track write-up on Monday and, your kid won a medal the previous Thursday and you're saying, well, where's my kid? He won a medal. He's not in here. And it's like, well, it was in Friday's paper because his race was actually on Thursday, but the meet didn't end until Saturday. It's a whole thing. I don't know. To me, I liked it the way it was, but, nobody asked me my opinion, I guess, right?
It's interesting that they have it the way that they do. I liked it better, from no one's asking me, obviously, but from our perspective, it was better when everything was one day and you took care of. I know it was a long day, but that trip to Hingham is no picnic. went there a few years ago for a state lacrosse semifinal doubleheader game. And that was almost 3 hours in the car to get there from Beverly. I mean, that was a hike. You get on that other side of Boston and you're standstill through Milton and Braintree. And oh God, that is brutal through there. So
I mean, I went to Westfield the other day to pick up my new puppy, and that was 2.5 hours. And that was with the, it was 2.5 hours out, 3:15 getting home because it was an accident on the pike. So, that's not fun. And, just while we're on the track, I hope I didn't tell this story last week. If I did, you guys can stop me. But, the way they're scoring the meets in the NEC hasn't been great either. These mega meets with, 4 and 5 teams, and team A's going against team C and D, but team B's going against C and A, and it's just a whole mess. There was one meet, and when you get down to the end of these meets, sometimes if it's within 5 points, right, the relay can decide the meet. The relay is really important. It's one of the most exciting things in high school sports, a relay that can decide a meet. We were going into the last relay at one of these events, and coach is telling me a story. He said, I said to the coach that I was running against, I said, do you know what the score of this meet is? Do you know if this relay matters? And the coach, the opposing coach said, no, I don't. And the coach of the team I was talking to said, yeah, I don't either. Well, that's pretty messed up. I mean, we got to fix that for next year. Because, imagine if you were in a baseball game going into the bottom of the 7th inning and you didn't know if the game was tied or if you had to score 1 run or 2 runs, right? That would never happen. Imagine if it was the last minute of a hockey game and you didn't know if it was tied or if you were down, if you should pull your goalie or not, right? That would never happen. Shouldn't happen in track either. I mean, they're always saying about how we should take track seriously and cover it more and stuff. And if you don't even know the score of your meet at the end, I mean, how is that, right? I mean, that's something that I think has to get cleaned up.
As the wise man once said, Willie, hock tui.
I mean, it's hey, it's how it is, but I don't know. I'm getting a little excited over here, I guess.
No, we like that, Matt. We like to have you go off once in a while. It's not a problem. We like that.
Does his Bobby the Brain Heenan impersonation?
Yeah, I mean, plus, you got that Hingham Cape Cod traffic too coming up the holiday weekend too. Who knows what that's nightmare. So
as long as there's no shark sightings down there, right?
Hey, St. John's Prep Lacrosse plays Hingham Saturday at noon, and I mentioned to Coach Pinchon I was thinking of going. He said, "Why? Why would you want to? Why would you want to go up against Cape traffic on a Saturday?" I said, "Good point. Really good point."
I mean, that's an honest man right there. You have to respect that. You really do.
Phil, you could probably charter a boat down. I'm sure. I don't know if the Salem News has a boat. At your disposal there for
our travel
certain,
budget
for
only
certain coverage.
Includes helicopters.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's a straight shot by boat. It really is.
Yeah, that's true.
North Shore down to Hingham.
I'm still scraping the barnacles off of mine, so I don't think I can make it down there. But
I mean, we've talked about chartering a boat sometimes to get to Marblehead for football games in Halloween time.
Halloween week, yeah.
With the traffic through Salem, so
yeah. Take it out of Gloucester, shoot on up there. Be all right.
Maybe that's something our friend the harbor master Benny Koopman can help us out with.
Oh.
So now we'll
recently married Benny Koopman.
So he's probably not listening to the podcast then. I was going to say, his wife probably has him doing chores or something instead.
There's probably really good Salem News readers in Marblehead that wouldn't mind popping you on their craft, so to speak, Phil, this weekend and shooting you down to Hingham. He might have to drag up line.
Our favorite people are in Marblehead, no question about it.
Bring your pole, your pen, and your pad. You know what I mean? You can
pole, pen, and pad, the 3 Ps of any trip to Hingham.
That's right. That's right.
There we go. Right. The Harbormen. That's what the Harbormen.
Reel it in.
That's their nickname, I believe, right? The Harbormen. Yep. All right, Phil. We're going to close it out here in a minute or two here. So if there's anything, I know Beverly has a new ice hockey coach, boys ice hockey coach named this past week.
Andy Scott, awesome guy. Willie certainly knows him through his dealings with the varsity baseball team. He's been helping out with the Beverly varsity hockey as well as an assistant. He was a JV coach before that. Great guy. Should be a nice, it's a new era, for the program. And Andy has cousins who played at Beverly High and won a state championship there. Connor Irving, the top scorer in Beverly High hockey history, is one of his cousins. So he's seen what it's like for them to have success and ultimate glory and all, and he'd love to bring them back to that stage. And it doesn't happen overnight, but he's looking at it big picture. And, we certainly wish all the best to him. He's a great guy, and we hope that brighter things are ahead in Beverly's future. And of course, Marblehead is still waiting on a new head coach for their hockey team. As soon as we get the word on that, we will pass it along to our readers and listeners.
Should say on that note too, and that was a great story on Andy Scott that Phil did. I had no idea that he was related to the Irvings. So you learn something something new every day. But I think, and I don't know if this has been revealed anywhere, but I saw on the Twitter sphere. Speaking of new coaches, Danvers girls basketball, Dave Chisholm will be taking over for the retired Pat Valou. It looks like he's running a clinic this summer, and it says led by the varsity coach, Dave Chisholm. So congratulations to Dave for landing on his feet there with the Falcons.
Nice. Phil, I got to close. We got 30 seconds. We got a minute actually, but so when you were at Beverly, I want to bring a name up from the past. So when you were at Beverly High, who was the hockey coach at Beverly High when you were a student there?
That would be Michael Deering.
It was Mike Deering. Okay.
Yeah, Mike Deering. Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought you were going to ask me about, for those who don't know, Andy Scott is in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
From an accident when he was in high school. And I played for a Beverly High baseball coach who was also in a wheelchair, the late, great Al DiPaolo.
Yeah.
Who, I loved Al, great guy. He had a souped up Saab where he could control with his hands, his thumbs and whatnot on the steering wheel, the brake and the gas and all. And he would ask me to move it every day from upper, A house at Beverly High School down to the baseball field. And I would, I told him this story years later and he laughed about it, but sometimes I would just drive it right around to the baseball field. And other times I would take it around Beverly for a little joy ride. And, I had a great time in that old Saab of his. So Al was a wonderful guy. And we certainly hope that Andy has similar, if not greater success.
And hopefully he's not letting any kids drive it around Beverly High anymore.
No, Andy, don't let your kids drive.
Yeah, you can't do that now. Yeah,
you can't. They can't be trusted. Those whippersnappers.
All right, gentlemen. Always good talking, and we'll talk again soon.
Good way to wrap it up. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.